Welcome back to the Business Infrastructure Audio Masterclass. Coming up in our next story is a budding entrepreneur who has not one, but two business partners, the first of whom is her husband, the other her best friend. And together, they own a fast-growing real estate mortgage company in none other than New York City. Some very interesting dynamics here at play, but before we get into their story, make sure you click on that description box below and subscribe. That way you'll receive notifications as new videos emerge from our channel. I hope you enjoy this next story.
It's hard to believe, but we're at the halfway point of our first ever audio masterclass for business infrastructure. At this point, you've heard 4 sets of stories and how-to lessons for building business infrastructure to stabilize fast growth and scale sustainably. If you haven't listened to those episodes, then you're missing out. They're like building blocks for understanding this next story. Vandana is not only in business with her best friend, but her husband too. Demand for their mortgage company is skyrocketing thanks to their recurring role on a new reality TV show. The spotlight isn't just exposing their talents, but their operational vulnerabilities too. Will their conflicting objectives lead them to make the right decisions? This is episode 190, Red Pill or Blue Pill, the story of Vandana Thiagarajan and a mortgage company's meteoric rise. Vandana Thiagarajan, her husband Brian, and her best friend Imana are co-founders of a fast-growing mortgage company in Brooklyn, New York. In just 3 years, they managed to secure a recurring role on a new reality TV show featuring first-time homebuyers in the Big Apple. This show is responsible for their most recent wave of growth, but with that growth has come the inability to meet their loan processing time. Each co-founder is now at an impasse, especially Vandana, as they each decide whether to pursue their original dreams or continue down their current path. The stakes are high. All eyes are on them. Their consultant introduces them to the service delivery blueprint element of the Kasennu framework to help them make the right decision.
And cut.
An energetic director yelled into his megaphone as the second assistant camera clapped the top layer of the clapperboard to the bottom, making a loud clicking noise. This was the 6th and final take of a particular scene on a new real estate reality TV show, where a young and very impressionable couple were interacting with a savvy mortgage broker to negotiate the terms of their first home loan. That mortgage broker happened to be Vandana Thiagarajan. She was exhausted from having been on the set since 6 a.m. It was now getting close to noon, and her stomach was practically tied into knots from hunger pain. Although there was plenty of food around, Vandana wanted to be away from the set more than anything else. Before she stood up from the desk on the show's set, she couldn't help but think about the pain the illusion of this TV show was causing her. The entire set was staged. The only similarity to their actual office was the prominent use of turquoise in the set's decor. In reality, she operated out of the second floor of a narrow brownstone in Brooklyn, not this fancy Manhattan office encased in glass with a view of the Hudson River.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances.
Vandana retrieved her phone from her suit pocket. Her voicemail was full, a recurring blessing and curse. A blessing because it was an indication that her company's services were in high demand. A curse because they were struggling to meet that demand. Soon, Hunter Jeffries, the consultant she and her partners had been working with for close to 2 months, walked up to her.
Vandana, that was awesome. You're a natural on camera.
Thanks, Hunter.
Vandana managed to force a smile. She was used to masking truth. By most accounts, she should be happy. At 33 years old, she was co-owner of a fast-growing residential mortgage company in New York City, arguably one of the highest valued real estate markets in the world. Yet, Vandana felt trapped. As she continued reflecting on the pressures of performing both on and off camera, she found her breathing becoming more laborious. She removed her purse from the desk she sat behind on the set, fumbling through it looking for her inhaler. The last thing she needed was to have an asthma attack. Hunter was curious about Brian and Imana's whereabouts. Brian Miller was Vandana's husband of 4 years, and Imana Van Dijk was her best friend of 24 years. In an attempt to divert attention from the obvious, Vandana fibbed and said they were both at the office working. She needed to change the subject.
Hey, don't you have a train to catch?
Yeah, I guess it's getting to be that time, eh?
Hunter was scheduled to take a train into Boston for another client appointment before crossing the Canadian border into Toronto. Hunter was soon back on the TV show's set at Vandana's request. She was on the set again without her business partners. Brian would be busy at the law firm where he worked full-time, and that Imana would be visiting family in her native Suriname. It was the perfect time to candidly speak with Hunter, one-on-one. After completing filming for the day, Vandana and Hunter began walking toward the nearest subway station. Vandana continued to make small talk with Hunter. She started by reiterating what Hunter already knew. The TV show was becoming more popular and more people were requesting their services as a result.
Is everything okay, Vandana? It seems like you're hiding something. I realize being on a crowded train isn't the best place to have this conversation, but I can't shake the feeling that you're withholding information. What's up?
Honestly, Hunter, I don't know where to begin. I, I, ugh, how can I say this delicately?
Don't worry about being delicate.
We're in trouble.
That's why you hired me, remember? To help you get a business infrastructure in place to make sure your growth is sustainable and replicable.
Yes, I know, Hunter, but there's some stuff I don't think Brian told you.
Hunter leaned in closer toward Vandana so that she could speak into his ear without others on the train hearing her.
We can't meet the loan processing timeline we've promoted for the past year. The show is doing well, and that's why we've been asked to participate in a second season, but it's shining a spotlight on our weaknesses. Right before we started taping this season, a local investigative news reporter interviewed several couples who participated on the show last season. They reported shoddy contractor work and had proof to back their accusations. Of course, this made us feel guilty by association, even though we have nothing to do with the contractors on the show. That's when Brian reached out to you as a proactive measure. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for what you've helped us with so far, but now our clients are starting to complain more and more about the time it takes to process their loan applications. One client even accused us of going Hollywood and not making time for people unless it involves TV. If we're not careful, these angry clients can also call an investigative reporter to expose us directly. If we don't fix this soon, we'll lose endorsements, not to mention the opportunity to be on this show and others in the future.
Hunter straightened up in his seat. When he looked at Vandana, her eyes were welling with tears.
Hunter, I feel like I'm caught up in the matrix. I know how valuable the TV show is in getting us exposure, but I also know how important it is to remain loyal to our customer base and referral network we had before the TV fame. Have you seen that movie, The Matrix?
Yes, I have.
It's like I'm Neo and you're Morpheus. Through your work, you've presented me with the option to choose between taking the red pill and the blue pill. If I take the red pill, I see how deep this Hollywood rabbit hole takes me, while risking the possibility of losing myself and my vision for our company in the process. The fame will become my drug of choice, and I might develop an insatiable appetite for it, and will continue the illusion that all is well as long as the money continues to flow in. On the other hand, if I take the blue pill, I can continue down the original path of operating a business in the real world as we originally planned. It might take longer for us to achieve some of our goals, but at least we'd be able to keep our promises and not risk being accused of fraud. It's all smoke and mirrors.
At that moment, they arrived at Penn Station. As they walked through the crowded corridor to the platform where Hunter would catch his next train, they found a less crowded place to sit. He had about 30 minutes before boarding.
What do you mean when you say it's all smoke and mirrors?
This TV show has been great for business, but we're mortgage brokers, not actors. I feel like we're getting further and further away from our original vision, which was to help prevent displacement of long-term residents in areas undergoing gentrification. We envisioned partnering with urban planners and eventually branching into real estate development. Instead, Brian is off hobnobbing and rubbing elbows with the who's who of New York, trying to secure a future partnership at the real estate law firm where he works. And Imana is on a high from all the newfound fame. She's always traveling between here, Miami, and Paramaribo. I'm tired of making compromises. When we started the company 3 years ago, we each brought something unique and valuable to the table. Brian came with a knowledge of real estate law, Imana came with a knowledge of urban and smart city planning, and I came with the financial acumen to structure deals for our clients. Now, instead of us balancing each other out, I feel caught in between my husband and my best friend. It's maddening.
This intrigued Hunter. After working with them over the past 2 months, he thought he knew their backstory, but he realized he mostly spent his time talking to Brian and not Vandana or Imana for that matter. He knew that Brian's father was also a real estate attorney and that Brian wanted to follow in his footsteps.
Are you referring to Brian's law practice? Is that what's troubling you?
That's part of the problem. Did you know that Brian wants to make partner at his firm? If he does, then where would that leave Amana and me?
I hope you've enjoyed listening to Vandana's story. If you want to hear the full story and discover how you too can create a service delivery blueprint for your organization, then here's 2 things you can do. First, you can buy my book. It's called Behind the Facade: How to Structure Company Operations for Sustainable Success. Vandana's story is featured in Chapter 6. If you want to actually see how to do the work that Vandana and Hunter did together, then the second thing you can do is sign up for the online Smooth Operator Masterclass. There you'll see video demonstrations that will show you exactly how to create your own service delivery blueprint and prove once and for all your business's capability to deliver results at scale. You can do that at smoothoperator.courses. See you in the next video.